So today we have a special guest. She likes to go by Dot. So Dot, tell us your full name.
My full name is Dorothy Tyler Crawford Ulrey.
And can you spell your last name?
It's Ulrey.
Okay. And today my special guest also is Clara Carter. She is with Historic Saluda Inc., our new organization. She's going to be helping to ask some questions. Clara just had a little bit of surgery on her nose, so she's a little camera shy, but I might get a picture of her later on. But anyway, today's focus is on Dot. And Dot's a very interesting person. I think you're going to like her story. And Dot, would you like to tell us what year you were born?
I was born 1928.
Okay, so that makes you how old?
97.
97. And Dot spent her entire life just about coming up to Saluda in the summers. Has it been your entire childhood, or?
With large gaps.
With large gaps. Okay, well, I'm going to let her tell her own story, but she wants to tell you about her family. So if you will share your parents' names, anyone you want to mention, your children, that would be great.
May I start with my grandfather?
You may start with whomever you wish.
All right. My grandfather was Reverend Ernest Cornish, and he was city missioner in Charleston in the 1890s. And when the house on Louisiana Avenue, the Clergy house for South Carolina's Diocese, meant for the recreation of those poor clergymen based on the hotter parts of South Carolina, could come up and have a comfortable place to recover for a while from the heat down there. He was the first, he and his family were the first to come up. That was 1908.
1908. Wow.
The first to
come up to Saluda from Charleston, from the coastal area, in other words, to take advantage of the mountain air for a while. But what happened was that one of his 4 children, Faith, the third daughter, he had a son, George, then there was Sarah, there was Gertrude, and there was Faith. And Faith loved to play in the creeks, and she caught diphtheria that way. Oh. So they were up here till almost Christmas that year, until she recovered.
Okay, let's pause just a moment.
Yeah, the area had a lot of people from all over, and the people across the street were from New Orleans, and they owned the property next to the Clergy house and built a little 2-room cabin, which they rented to mountain people in 1908. And then when my grandfather realized how well my grandmother did up here in the mountains that summer, he bought the little cabin from the ladies from New Orleans, and then added on to it. He added 2 rooms, and one was a bedroom, one was a sort of general room, which he thought would be good enough for living room, a dining room, and a kitchen. But grandmother said, no, we're not going to have the kitchen in the living room. So they added another room, and that was with a little sort of offshoot on the back, which became the kitchen. And underneath that was space for us, somebody who could come up and help. But pretty poor accommodation, but it was there. In the front yard, they had a well with a pump, and down the hill was a little hut, which had a large rock to show you where it was. There's still a big rock still there. But
what do you mean it with the large rock to show you where what the well was?
No, where the little hut was.
Oh, the outhouse.
Oh, the little hut. Okay.
But anyway, they came up as often as they could, and the house, of course, came down to the three daughters when my no, it didn't either. It came down to my step-grandmother because my grandmother died and my grandfather married again. And Kate Waring Simmons from Somerville was his second wife. She had it until the 1940s, at which time it came to the three sisters, my mother and Gertrude and Faith. And my mother bought out Gertrude and Faith in about 1950. And that was, what she'd planned to do was to retire up here, but she found out that once the weather got cold, that house was very cold. There were no finished inside walls. It was all just the outside walls and partitions, between the rooms. And it was fun when we were little. We could have some people on either side of the hall in the front bedrooms there. And even if you weren't very loud, you could talk to each other across the ceiling of the hall. And we'd climb up. I don't know what little grandmother did with that. She brought nephews and nieces too in the 30s and 20s. And I should go back a little bit because my father died in an accident in 1928, just days before I was born. And I was born at my Aunt Gertrude's house. I had two older sisters, Sally and another Faith. And when I was born, my uncle, who was the minister of the church in Georgetown, his name was Henry Boole, he was at a conference in Sewanee, and his wife said, okay, let's take the Bull 5 children and the Crawford 3 children and go to Saluda. Well, the guys as far as Charleston decided they needed help, so they hired a girl. And they all came up on the train, and the poor girl was staying downstairs under the kitchen, right? Okay. This was the year I was born. My sister was 18 months older than I, and there was one bull that was a month older than she. 3 babies in cloth diapers, and it rained, and it rained, and it rained. And the girl downstairs said there was no wooden floor down there. She couldn't stand it because she couldn't keep anything clean down there under the kitchen.
Was it a dirt floor?
Dirt floor. So she went back to Charleston. Aunt Gertrude went to Sewanee to join her husband at his conference. And there was Mother with the 8 children, 3 in diapers, and the rain.
And so what year was that?
1928, the year I was born.
The year you were born.
Yeah.
Now, tell us your parents' names.
All right. My father was Richard Tyler Crawford, and they were from Columbia and Winsboro. His mother was from Winsboro. And my mother was Sarah Catherine Cornish, and she was born in Graniteville, which was my grandfather's first church. Actually, there was no church. He helped to build the church.
Now, you've referenced churches, a church.
Episcopal church.
Episcopal.
Right.
So we're talking about the Episcopal denomination.
Right.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So you're connected to the Episcopal church here in Saluda.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Along with Clara.
Okay. Clara.
Church of the Transfiguration.
Church of the Transfiguration.
Yeah.
Where Clara also attends.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do I need to tell you?
Okay, so that's how your family obtained the house. So it started with your mother. About what year was that she actually?
Born at about 50.
About 1950?
Right.
Okay.
Born out her 2 sisters.
All right. Now, so I've been in your house one time and walked around a little bit outside this morning, but of course, I wasn't around in well, I was, but probably not. But anyway, I don't want to give away my age. But anyway, so how much has changed with your house? Because you still come up every summer, don't you? Almost?
Every summer that I can.
That
yeah.
you can.
Yeah.
How many years do you think it's, I know you said there's been sporadic times maybe you didn't come up?
Yeah, well, you see, we three sisters inherited it in 74 when my mother died. My sister Sally was the oldest. She was married to another Episcopal minister, Hopkins Weston, and she taught school, so he was busy on the weekend, she was busy during the week, and they lived nearer Saluda than either Faith or I. So she was sort of in charge of the place, and it really got run down then. Various people came up and would stay in exchange for doing some work or something like that, and some of them did good stuff, but mostly it just sort of ran down until around 81, when my husband retired and we came and worked on it for 2-3 summers. But I bought out my sisters in 2002. Then it became my place.
But pretty much you've been coming up here and staying in that house a lot since the 1950s.
But being a single mother, my mother had to work. So she only had 2 weeks a year vacation. That's when we came up.
Did you come up for the whole 2 weeks?
Usually.
And so she chose Saluda as her vacation destination.
Oh, yeah.
I can completely understand that.
Well, we lived in Georgetown. She worked in Georgetown. I was born in Georgetown.
You were born in Georgetown.
Right.
And that's South Carolina.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. And we came up on the train always. And we didn't have a car. But when we get here, we just haul our suitcases up the hill to the house from the depot. And
So you didn't hire what do you call what they used to call the little porter? You didn't hire a porter to bring your luggage up to. You walked from where the depot used to stand and
right
all the way up to Louisiana Avenue.
And guess who got to carry the silver? Mother always brought the silver with her.
You know, I've heard that before. That when you came up, you brought sometimes your hired help, and you brought your silver, your good pieces of maybe china or whatever if you chose. But you always brought your silver. Isn't that interesting? Because you maintained you had to maintain your lifestyle. It was important to maintain your lifestyle.
Yeah, and Mother had some good friends up here from all over. Well, Charleston especially, but other places.
Now you also have a daughter. Is it a daughter?
I do not. I have just 2 sons.
2 sons. Okay, you have 2 sons. Would you like to tell their names?
Well, the older one is David Tyler Ulrey. There was a David in the Ulrey family for several generations, so he picked up that from them, and the Tyler from us, from my side. And the other one is Hugh. It's not Hugh. That's my husband. What's my son's name? Richard.
He's gonna fuss at you for not remembering his name.
That other person in the house.
We'll edit that out.
Oh gosh! Don't show him this.
It's gonna be on YouTube publicly.
Oh gosh!
Yeah. Whether he sees it or not, I don't know.
Richard is the one who's here right now.
Okay.
He came all the way from Virginia to take me back down to Charleston.
Okay. That's interesting.
He and his wife Mary. Now, what do we need to know?
Okay, so well, let's talk a little bit about what it was like to board that train. So you boarded the train where? In
Charleston.
In Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah. You boarded that train.
Took a bus from Georgetown to Charleston.
Took a bus from Georgetown to Charleston, and I bet that train ran all the way to Saluda.
It did. Mm-hmm.
And so, what was it like to be on that train? Think as far back as your memory will take you. What do you remember about it being like riding that train to Saluda?
Sunny. You opened the window and everything you had was covered with sun. Not covered.
Oh, sooty.
Sunny.
Cinders.
Yeah.
We've interviewed other people who talked about the cinders. We had one lady that had an actual cinder embedded under her skin for years and years. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
So what was it? What
All right.
were you excited?
Oh gosh, yes. But it was tiresome for kids,
How long did it take?
I don't know, but my precious, it took pretty much all day to get from Georgetown to Charleston and waiting in between and all that.
Could you make it in a day?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're good.
So do you remember what it was like to stop at Melrose in the train?
Well, that's what I was coming
Okay,
to.
go ahead.
That was one of my main memories because that pusher engine was such a fun thing to watch. You could see it if you looked out the window. The train was going on. You could see that engine pushing from behind, and it was fun.
Probably really fun for kids, right?
Yeah.
Probably pretty exciting as an adult.
I don't know. I never asked my mother. She poor mother. She was in charge of all of us as well as.
When was the last time you rode the train?
Oh, we used to come up to Cayuga, and that was in high school.
High school.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And things were different by then. By then, the TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority, had put in electricity. Water had come in from the city, so it was entirely different. But when we came to Cayuga, we'd go clear to Hendersonville, and they'd pick us up by bus and take us out to the camp.
Okay.
And
So you're talking about the camp. Canoe.
Canoe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what other memories do you have about, what was it like when you got the top, when you climbed the grade and you got to the top? Or what was it like just climbing the grade? Were you ever scared?
No,
No?
we were just like the little engine that could. We can't think again.
I've
Because
heard that
it
before
was
too.
slow.
Yeah, you just know it's going to make it, and that pusher train, that little pusher engine,
Right.
is right behind. They called it the helper engine, isn't that right, Clara? Yeah, the helper engine. Push that train up the mountain. Boy, wouldn't it be neat to do that now? Well, no, you wouldn't want to be on the tracks now. But
Were you around in 1981 when they had the 100th anniversary here?
no, I wasn't here. My grandmother was.
Oh, you missed some fun
Oh,
because
yeah.
they brought the best friend up from Charleston and ran it up and down the track here. Oh, wow.
I wish I could have made that.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a lot. We've got the records from that and photos from it, from the city and all that. So we know we've got it documented. And
I've got the book.
yeah, but Charlene Pace was a co-author of that book you're referring to, and she was a co-founder of our group. So
Okay.
she was amazing stories she shared. So I know she helped put on that celebration. But
Well, when we were coming up during our high school years to be at the cottage, we would go down, Sally, and I have a picture of Sally. We were going down the hill across the road because Mrs. Johnson or Thompson, I think I showed you the picture, had a cow. And we got our milk from her. But that particular day, the one that I got the picture of, there was another cow in the field ahead of us, and we didn't know whether we should go or go back home or go past that animal.
well, in Saluda, the locals, if you were a local, you probably had a milk cow. I know my family
Or chicken
had milk cows because that's what you had to. That's where you got your milk, and so most every family had a cow.
Okay.
Do you remember that, Clara? I guess you'd have to be one of the. As my grandmother used to say, you'd have to be one of the natives to understand that. So that was big to have that. But I'm sure folks coming in, that wasn't from the city because you came from Charleston area. That you probably weren't used to that. So.
No, we weren't.
No, but it's kind of funny because people that came up here and settled in Saluda, a lot of them were, from the Lowcountry,
Yeah.
and they kind of wanted to turn Saluda into a little mini Charleston.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh, there were so many people who were not from Charleston. They were from.
A lot of them were from South Carolina and Georgia.
Yeah.
They wanted that kind of
You
low
said
country
New
feel.
Orleans, too.
New
Yeah.
Orleans, yeah. But they wanted that low country feel. And if you look around town, you will see the Lowcountry influence in the architecture.
Ah, huh.
So it's very interesting to note that. So anyway, I got off on another subject. But so your house, let's go back to your house a minute because I think your house is so cool. Your house, built in 1908,
it was there in 1908. The front two rooms were there.
Front two rooms,
When they were
1908.
built, I don't know.
You can see where there was where the addition was put on it.
Yes,
I
you
took a
can.
picture of that today.
Quite definitely.
Oh, by the way, did we mention it's called the Sky Shack?
Oh, it's called Sky Shack because at that time there were no trees to speak of, very few trees, because they'd been cut to use as ties for the railway, wood for the train, or whatever. They blamed it on the railway anyway. There's a whole series of books written by, oh gosh, now I can't think of the name of the author, but she called it Glen Hazard. She called Saluda Glen Hazard. And Mariston,
And what was that word again?
Glen Hazard.
Glen Hazard?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm going to look for that.
But the author was Mariston Chapman.
Okay.
And she was an English woman, but she loved it here. Oops, got something flying by. But
We've got a critter in the room.
she wrote 3 or 4 books with this as the headquarters, as the central point. And her description is, you could stand on one hill and see for miles over the cut area.
That was a sad time in western North Carolina history when they cleared the timber like they did. And the railroad was a big player in that.
But the thing was, when you got to our front door and opened it, you looked straight through, you could see sky, and not trees. You saw sky. We could see clear to Sugarloaf. Even when I was little, you could see clear to Sugarloaf.
See, because I have a home on this home we're speaking of is on Louisiana Avenue. And I have a home on Louisiana Avenue. And I absolutely cannot imagine this because you don't even know sometimes you're even in the mountains because there's so many trees. The trees are beautiful. I'm glad they're back. But it did cut out a lot of the mountain views.
And it cut out various other trees because we had an apple tree halfway down the hill. And there was dogwood, there was, what's the one they call it? Something red flame or something.
Oh, redbud?
Redbud.
Mm-hmm.
Redbud. Things that only grow where there's
native
plenty of
plants.
sun.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that about Sky Shack.
My Aunt Faith named it.
Your Aunt Faith named it? That's an awesome name.
She was a professional artist when she became an adult.
Oh, nice. So when you came up here all those many years ago, tell us about Main Street. What was that like?
Well, Lola was there.
Lola Ward.
Yeah. I remember it best when Charlie had it, of course. Mm-hmm. And Paces was divided quite distinctly into hardware and grocery. And the 2 sisters, Robert Pace's sisters.
Boo and Eunice. Boo and Eunice.
Okay. They sat near the front of the store and talked to everybody who came by. It was a very friendly place.
Friendly?
Friendly, very friendly place.
Those are good memories, aren't they?
Oh, yes. And I think everybody I knew loved Charlie.
Yeah. See, that's my childhood memories, too. Charlie and Lola, and then Robert Pace and his sisters. And says we were related to Robert. Robert Pace and my grandfather were first cousins.
Uh-huh.
Lola and my grandmother were really close friends. So we'd always visit, because I didn't grow up here either, so we'd come up, and I'd always have to go visit everybody on Main Street. So it was so much fun. Everybody was so friendly. Everybody knew your name.
Yeah.
And that was amazing to me, because we were living in Charlotte, where, that was a big city, and we come here, and I'm like, these people even know who I am, It was pretty amazing, and I'm sure you felt the same way because they remembered you, didn't they?
They
you
did.
came to visit. I bet
Yeah.
Charlie gave you a hug, didn't
Well,
he?
even Leon, he remembered me from way back too.
Oh, Leon's always that way, but Leon's told me more about our family because Leon and I have discovered we have several links where we're related. And he told me a lot about branches of my family. I had no idea. I mean, that's really something we now probably miss in Saluda because those folks
I
are no
don't know,
longer
it's
here.
still nice to have a little town because
It is.
the mailman delivered my,
Meals on Wheels?
no, it was a package that came that had ice in it. It was supposed to have been brought to the house. It was sent to the mailbox instead, downtown. The mailman brought it to me on his way home.
That's amazing. What a nice
Small
story
town,
about the current, is it the current postmaster or your mailman?
I don't have a mailman.
Just someone with the Saluda post office. That's a nice little compliment for them.
Well,
Yeah, see, that wouldn't happen in Charleston, would it?
Never.
Wouldn't happen where I live. So, yeah. That's the beauty of Saluda. It's always, where I live right now is close to Mount Airy, which is called, everybody calls that Mount Mayberry.
Yeah.
But I've always thought Saluda was a real Mayberry because when I was growing up, I'm like, no, the real Mayberry's in Saluda, North Carolina, not Mount Airy, North Carolina. But, we all know, actually it was in Mount Airy, but Saluda just felt like that TV show back then. Just so everybody just knew everybody and so close. And
Yeah. But some families, I know my aunt and uncle came up from Spartanburg, and they hired, what was his name? There was a man they hired to do the drinks for the parties, and he was absolutely perfect with, they'd ask for whatever under the sun, and he could mix it up. And somebody asked him, how do you remember all these things? And he says, I just read it on the tablecloth. I love that. But he was a really nice person. And there were a lot of people like that. They'd bring the cooks up. Remember? People would bring cooks up, and then they'd go shopping together for the at Thompson's especially. They have good food.
yeah, they still have good food at the grill now, the Wards.
Yeah.
Good food. Yeah. So, do you remember much about what the depot was like back then? Do you remember the people that came out and greeted you? Or
No, not really.
So you never met Bale Pace or any of those that were
Not to
down-
remember.
Not that you remember.
No.
Okay. Because apparently Bale Pace would greet Claire. You might remember Bale Pace. Supposed to be a really big guy. Drove one of the hacks, and he would load all the stuff up on those wagons and take it out to the homes. But that was, I think, a lot. I think he catered a lot to those that stayed at the inns in boarding houses.
Well, not often, but sometimes my relatives would get together and come up, and we would come with them in the car, and that made a lot of difference.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
But until you got behind an ups truck on 176.
So back then, because the interstate I-26 was not completed until the 70s, so the only real way up the mountain was 176.
176.
But didn't you love that?
Mm-hmm. I still love it.
I do too. That's the way we came up. Just those curves, and you get so excited, and the waterfalls along the way. You had to look really hard. Then there was that one right on the road. I loved that one.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. I hope they hurry up and finish restore
Well, they haven't
176.
started, have they?
No, it's an engineering nightmare. Is what I'm hearing.
Somebody said that it's one lane, but not a very safe lane.
Mm-mm.
But that when they went, they saw the outer rail, the guardrail, hanging out over space. Nothing underneath.
Really
it.
sad. It's very, very sad because that was a favorite for everyone to go up and down that mountain that way.
And my great niece liked to swim down there, right at the bridges.
Oh yeah, down at the Pacolet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of people like to get in the river.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of your other favorite memories? Who do you remember?
People.
People, who do you remember?
Like the Viner family, remember them?
I don't remember them, but we've had people tell couple stories about them.
Okay.
Where did they live?
Well, you know where Judy Ward lives?
Mm-hmm.
That street that went down between her and the dollar store?
Uh-huh.
That's where Judy had a trailer down that
Right.
long time. But the Viners had a house, and they raised squabs and guinea hens, and she was employed by some state agency or federal agency that had sent looms to a lot of people around here, and she taught weaving. She taught how to dye your material, your yarn. I'm not sure how close to the sheep she got with the yarn, but she taught them the native natural dyes and all that sort of thing.
So what was her name?
Wilma Viner.
Wilma Viner. Okay.
And Scroop was his name. And he was English. And they had an adopted son named Alexander Sandy. They called him Sandy. And he was adopted, but he looked exactly like his adopted father. It was so funny. But,
So where was the Viner's house exactly? I know where you're talking about, where there's the mobile home down there near the Dollar General.
Well,
so did it get torn down? Is it gone?
the Viners themselves built a house somewhere, and I can't remember where.
Okay.
But it was in different levels. It was built of stone, and each room was on a different level.
Okay. I'm sure. Yeah, I've heard about it. I'm just not sure exactly where. We'll have to put that together, won't we, Claire? We'll have to figure that one out. I know I've heard it. I know someone's told me before where they were.
I still have some of those little things that they made beautiful things on those looms. Everything from pin cushions to rugs.
So were they the not the big floor looms, but the kind of you could put on a table and weave?
The ones I remember, big floor.
These were big floor looms. Oh wow!
Across the street from us, where Lime Houses have their house, that house belonged to somebody named Edna, and I don't remember the last name, but it'd be Johnson or Thompson or something like that. Okay. And she was a single mother, and her own mother lived with her, just the three people. And Edna made just beautiful things on that loom that she had.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it tapestry style? Do you know, or
no,
like rugs for floors? Or?
Yeah.
Rugs.
No.
No, you're talking about hand woven.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Walmart came out with some reproductions, and the person who gets into my house and takes some things and leaves me things exchanged mine for those. But anyway,
that is great.
they also, I still have pincushions and table runners and things like that they made. Hand towels.
That's pretty amazing. That's a story that we need to hear. We need to dig deeper in that and learn more about the Viners and because I do know there were a lot of people doing weavings and also the hooked rugs. And what was the lady's name that did the hooked rugs? It slipped my mind. I could stop and look it up, but I won't do that. But she was very famous, and I think someone's going to donate to us one of those.
Oh, good.
Hooked rugs. Yeah. I'll look her name up in a minute and mention it. But
I can donate a pincushion.
Okay. Well, those are the things we're going to need in our museum. And by the way, Dot is the very first person to be interviewed in our soon-to-be historic Saluda Museum and offices. So we are in the study right now. This used to be a room that was the pastor's study and a welcome room, and we're going to be turning it into our offices. And so Dot's the very first person to be interviewed here, and we hope to have many more interviews. So this is a great location. It's a great location. So anyway, so let's talk about Louisiana Avenue. Let's talk about your memories of Louisiana Avenue. And let's start back at Ozone Drive and work our way in. And you can tell me, it's okay if you don't remember, because I know they've changed hands a lot.
Oh,
You know, did you know the Ruby Thompson Hooper that lived on the corner?
no.
No, you know, she ran for governor.
But now, who was the next one up? Because that's where we left our key. It started with S.
The next one up from where?
From that building.
From the one on the corner. Then you come up and that's Spate, the Spate House.
No, maybe it's the next one.
Okay, well the next one was built by the Thompsons. That house was Ammy's stepmother's house, right? Isn't that what the?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
But it was built by.
Elizabeth Weber Spites.
Oh, was she is it Spite or Spate?
Spites?
So she was a Spite. She was a Spite.
No.
No.
Auntie Spites was from the Lowcountry. And I don't know how long he had been there, but I remember I went to Louisiana to go see, anyway, he was this cow walking down the street, and so I ran in to Ike's and I said, "There's a cow in the street," and that was just very nonplussed about it.
Well, you know that right behind that was the Holbert's Holler, what they call Holbert's Holler, where Bill Holbert grew up, and they had cows. We've got some cute pictures of Roxy, his mother, milking cows down there. So that was probably one of Roxy's cows. That's a whole other story. And for those who are watching this, you might not, you probably wonder what we're talking about. But anyway, Louisiana Avenue is right in main area of Saluda in the city limits, and it is very historic and has lots of stories, and it's varied over the years. Some people have called it the Diaper Hill because at one time there were so many, mainly Thompsons in diapers, and then it was called Preacher Hill or something.
Holy Hill.
Holy Hill.
Yeah.
Holy Hill.
So there's so many ministers there.
So many, because there were 2 parish houses. Is that correct? Is that the correct term?
Well, the other one was for Georgia.
And so what does that mean?
The Episcopal Diocese of Georgia built a recreation home the same as the Episcopal Diocese of South Carolina.
So the one it still is
Still
part
belongs
of
to Georgia.
and
They
it's got
still use
a
it.
plaque on it that says that. And then the one next door, what was it? Where the Wood family now lives?
All right, that was the South Carolina Episcopal Rectory. Well, Clergy House, whatever. Because
Clergy House.
Yeah, they sold it to a minister and his wife, the Irelands. The Betty Jean Ireland and oh gosh, what was his name? I've forgotten. Anyway, they sold it to the Woods.
And that house, it has been kept, from what I understand, it's kept intact. It still they've maintained its historical integrity, which is important to our world.
Except for one wall, the wall between the dining room and the kitchen, they took that.
They took a wall down. Okay, well, that's not too bad. But I wanted to ask you about a particular house. It's was right across the street. It's a mystery to me. Y'all may know this. Shanty Shane.
Okay, that was the one where the Louisiana, New Orleans ladies, the 2 sisters from New Orleans who owned the lot where we are, where Sky Shack is, Shanty Shane, and it had an almost perfect semicircle of hemlock trees in front. It was just gorgeous when I was little.
Is it still there?
No.
Okay. Is that where the Jasperson's home now sits?
Yeah. And before them, Mrs. Armstrong from Philadelphia had it.
Well, here's something really interesting. We had several years ago, a girl came through town, and her last name was Kennedy. I can't remember her first name, but she was a direct descendant of the Goulet family.
Okay.
And the Goulettes were somehow connected to this particular branch of the Goulette family were connected to Shanty Shane.
Okay.
And so she gave us 2 scrapbooks from 1906.
Oh, wonderful.
Full of pictures of Shanty Shane.
Good.
In Louisiana Avenue. And a couple, and it travels around town. And it was beautiful photographs. They had it in a scrapbook. They had kept it somewhere that kept the pictures still in good shape.
Good.
And so I took every one of them. I didn't take the scrapbook apart. I just scanned them all. And then it enhanced them a little bit. You would not believe what jumped out in those pictures of that street. It's beautiful. Shanty Shane was just beautiful. And they were all out there they had long dresses on, and they were, and they had labeled, in the scrapbook, they had labeled every picture with complete descriptions.
Good.
So there was one picture, well, you probably won't know this, but there was one picture that cracks me up bad, and it's on Main Street, and there's a gentleman standing in the doorway of a store, and above it says bar, and he's walking out like he's intoxicated, and he's doing it for a joke, you can tell. But I'm like, everybody's asking me, well, where was that bar in town? And I don't have any idea exactly which store it was, but it's a classic photo. It's hilarious.
Was one of the recessed doorways? Because the post office had one of those recessed. I've forgotten which building it was in.
Yeah, the post office was where I believe where the real estate office is now.
Real estate office?
I think, yeah. I'm pretty sure that's the one. And then the Rock Museum was next door. Remember, this is in the 60s. The Rock Museum, Gem and Mineral Museum. Do you remember that? That Mr. Ashley started?
That was good.
That was next door in what is now the Mexican restaurant. So I'm pretty sure the post office may have been to the left of that.
Well, in Azalea, the Mexican restaurant?
Do what?
Azalea, wasn't that?
Yes,
now what's
yes,
Mexican?
same building. It's changed many times over the years.
Used to be Saluda Grade.
Saluda Gray, yes. That was great food. Yeah, it's changed a lot over the years, but the building's still reflective of kind of its original character. Hadn't been greatly changed, but I don't know, did you ever go in the Rock Museum?
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
And just beautiful stuff. Gosh.
The Ashley family still has that collection. So that's pretty neat. That they didn't. They had to, of course, dismantle it, take it somewhere else, but they still have it.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So let's see. We're on Louisiana Avenue. So what other homes down in? I'm gonna let you tell me what you remember of the homes on that street and who lived there. I'll let you tell me.
Well, just Dixon's. Well, next door to us, if you're facing the house on the right, there was a house that, when my mother was young, was a family home with lots of girls and a piano and whatnot. And that's the one that burned.
That was, they call it Sibmassey.
No, it was between me and Sibmassey. There was a lawyer in Spartanburg. Bought it from the other family before it burned.
So did it burn all the way to the ground and didn't get rid?
No, it did not. And my brother-in-law hauled in all kinds of stuff that we had. Like, there were canvas cots with metal pieces all grown together, just rusted together and stuff like that. He hauled them over to our house and filled the whole downstairs with stuff. But
Oh my goodness.
yeah. Anyway, we got a kind of kick out of that.
Well, you might remember Will Forrest.
Ah, yeah.
And his house burned. The top level of his house burned.
But then they repaired it.
No.
No?
They repaired the house. They didn't put the top level. They didn't repair the top level.
Oh, okay.
That's
what
what's
happened.
crazy. People don't know. They repaired it, but I know the people that live there now, and you could actually open the door that would have led to the upstairs, and it's charred.
Oh, God.
But they never put the top level back on it.
Oh, we don't.
But they've kept that house. The
They
lower,
had a son who was a friend of my sister's, and he
Joe?
built that little cabin.
the little
on
log
side.
cabin. Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after Mr. Forrest passed away, I believe his sister may have had the house. I can't recall, but I never met any of those folks. I've just known the people that live there now.
Yeah.
But it's a neat story. There's a lot of, because Will. So do you remember much about Will?
Mm-mm.
Do you remember he had an artificial leg?
No, I didn't remember.
Yeah, and supposedly it's from a railroad injury. He was a barber in town, and he was a character. You remember him, don't you, Cliff? You don't remember Will? Supposedly he was a real character around town. And always on Main Street, that's where his shop was, barber shop was, and told great tales. And do you remember John Rhodes?
Mm-hmm.
John Rhodes, we interviewed him one time. He was one of my favorites, and he told a story that some schoolboys, some young teenagers, dared each other one time to take a thumbtack and stick it in Will's wooden leg to see if he noticed, and they stuck him in the wrong leg.
He noticed.
He noticed, all right. So that was just sort of one of those stories that got around, but good stories. Well, let's see. Do you have any other memories you want to share about Louisiana Avenue or anything? I know you had you shared some pictures with me years ago. I know you had a lot of local friends. Weren't you friends with Martha Anderson?
Oh, yeah. I loved Martha.
And her family.
I showed you one picture, I'm sure, of Martha and her brother Bill and me together.
Yes.
And we'd been for a hike or something.
Yes. I think I took a picture of the picture with my camera. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. So we interviewed Martha years ago. She was the one that said the train was, I think I can. She said that in her interview. So that's a classic. But,
My mother told one story about the train, and she said that they, not often, but they did have wrecks along that line. And one season, one car, I'm not to say, fell over, and it was full of hats. Oh, ladies' hats, and so all the ladies on the mountain had new hats. Wow.
I have never heard that. Do you have any idea what year that was?
None at all.
I mean, I've heard about the cattle trucks,
I know what
the
happened with
slaughter pen, the whole cattle story of the cows slaughtered on the mountain.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, that was a sad story. Cows were wandering all around Saluda, a lot of them were injured and had to be put down. That was a sad story.
Yeah.
But I've never heard about hats. What those mountain ladies were strutting, weren't they? Well, do you remember, now this is going back into town, do you remember Stevenson's Esso station?
Not really.
No.
So we didn't have a car, so I wouldn't.
Oh, okay. That was my grandfather's Esso. I always ask people if they have memories of my family because, I do this because it's a little selfish angle here. Sometimes I like to get stories about my family. So I always ask them if they knew Raymond Stevenson, who ran the...
Well, I'll tell you one thing about the 1981 thing. I remember when, before the library, they had spaces for people who made things, and they could display them there and sell them there in that building.
I never knew that. Did you?
Yeah, well, that was going on during 81, during the
I was in college then, so I didn't come down here.
But I bought a little hound dog, about this big, with its tail straight up and its great big nose and so forth, and some geese that were sort of running along with wings out and so forth and so on. And I found out they'd been made by Carrie Pace. Well, I met Carrie Pace this visit when I went to the VA breakfast, because he was also a VA. And I went out one day with him to see his collection of handmade things. They are absolutely gorgeous.
So Carrie's been doing that for a long, long time, from what I understand. someone gifted me a little hound dog, little hunting dog with his tail up, and it sits on a little wooden stand, and I was blown away that somebody would give that to me. But Carrie's, and I think he sells his stuff at the Pace's store, doesn't he?
I don't know, but I bought things from him
Yeah, I'd
out
love
at
to have
his
another
place.
one. Yeah, he's a legend. I'd like to interview him.
Oh,
But he's got
goodness,
some
that would be
stories.
good.
I've got to write that down. So yeah.
And get pictures of his collection.
I
He
will.
opened a little cabinet about this big. He opened the door and there were shelves and life-size birds in full color that he had carved.
Yeah,
and
see,
colored.
that's amazing. That's amazing.
And I bought a creche that has figures like this, and one of the shepherds is kneeling, and he has a staff with a hook, a little tiny, like a toothpick, with the hook in it.
Wow.
There
That's
are
the kind of stuff.
medicine jars with one had a train car built inside the little medicine.
Where does he live?
Out on his father's name of the street is out. You go out Greenville Road and turn left at the flag. It's almost to the church.
Okay. Oh yeah, out that way. Okay, I got this one a general idea. We don't.
And I'm sure he's in the phone book.
Yeah, I know, and he comes in Paces all the time, so
Okay.
I always get Tangy to help me connect with him. So
Good.
Okay.
He has the nicest dog named
Oh.
Wolf.
Well, Dot, you've led a really interesting life. If you we're only talking about your Saluda life, but it just sounds like it's been amazing. So, are you going to continue to come back up here in the summers?
As much as
As
I
much as you can.
Yeah.
As long as you can, as much as you can.
Yeah. When I lived in Arizona, I drove clear across country to get here in the summers.
Well, tell us about life in Arizona. I mean, why were you in Arizona? And
Oh, well, that was just because my husband was civil service, working for the Army and in research and development of communications equipment. And that fort out in southeastern Arizona was where they located a lot of the communication stuff because there were no big cities around and they didn't have all the radio interference and that sort of thing that most areas had. So we were out there, I was there for 48 years.
Wow.
Then
And you
why-
came to Saluda in the summertime?
Yeah, after my husband died. Well, even before, because we came after he retired. We came several.
So he loved it up here too.
Yes, it was. Only I put him to work. I mean, he kept that cabin from falling down the mountain.
now, why did you go to the veterans breakfast?
Because I was a veteran, and I was invited. My husband was civil service. He was not military. That's why I told you had it all wrong.
Tell us a little bit about that.
What, being in the Air Force?
Yes.
At this point, I look back at it and think that was pure fun. I was in for 3 years, and it was not pure fun. I had taught, and I did not like teaching at all. So I sort of fooled around for some months, and then I decided I'd go in the service. And at that time, the Korean War was on, and they were looking for people who might have been failures at other things, would make pretty good military people. And I don't know, it was, at that time, the teaching experience had made me really low in spirits, and I put that in quotes because that's an old-fashioned term. But I had no confidence with myself, in myself. And I went in the Air Force as enlisted on purpose, because I didn't want to have to tell anybody anything. I wanted to be told what to do and shown what to do. And I was given the job of teletype mechanic. I went to school in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and I really learned how to be a teletype mechanic. I knew what I was doing, had all my self-confidence back. It was wonderful.
And tell me again, you were what kind of mechanic?
Teletype.
Teletype. What is that?
Well, it's where did you have this?
Predated.
No.
Pre-computer? Pre-computers.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Typewriter with an electronic connection so that you could, like, do telegrams and stuff
Oh,
like
okay,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
How fascinating.
And they used them on the flight line to get in touch with the airplanes and other airports and stuff like that. And we had to keep the machines in good condition. So
That would be interesting.
it was.
And so you had lost your self-confidence, but the Air Force helped you build back up your
There you
confidence.
go. Yeah.
I bet it made you pretty tough too, didn't it? Did it make you kind of tough
No.
I mean, more a bit able to be independent and live in this world.
I learned a lot about being with people.
Being with,
Yeah, because I had never worked with people like that before. And it was, but I mean, gee whiz, basic training was physically challenging, but oh my gosh, I enjoyed it. Because when we'd march, we'd sing. And was it you I was telling about the songs that we sang? And just foolish things.
How old were you?
23, long in there. 22, 23. Yeah.
Wow, that's a good story. That's amazing.
It was for me a very good experience.
Did you ever try to fly a plane?
No, because you couldn't do that unless you were chosen to be trained. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's fascinating.
My stepbrother had been in the Air Force in World War II. He flew 17s, B-17s, okay. He landed one on a highway outside Georgetown, which was not well looked on at all.
I bet not. Did he get in trouble for that?
I don't know how much trouble, he ended up retiring as a general, so I don't think so.
Oh. All right, well, let's take just a break for just a minute. Okay, we started back up. All right, you had mentioned Wilma Stoner Viner earlier, and took a minute for it to compute just exactly who she was for me, but now I understand. And she actually opened the weave shop that was so popular here, and she wrote the Catherine Pettit book on vegetable dyes. So she was a very important person that developed a lot of information about natural dyes, and she helped a lot of people in Saluda with the crafts, her crafts, so they could earn some extra money. But Dot's got an interesting story, so I'm going to turn it over to her.
Well, it's very short. It's just that when Gatlinburg had a fair of old-fashioned methods, I guess, of doing things, she took me over along with the son and so forth. But we lived in a motel that hung out over a creek, which was fun. But what she did was to build a fire and show people how to make their dyes by just using old-fashioned methods. She kept the fire going all day, and it had a little sort of frame above it, and she had all these things around that she was using to make the dyes. But I wasn't much help to her. I was having too much fun.
You were having fun being in Gatlinburg, weren't you? Yeah, so were a lot of people interested in what she was teaching? Do you think?
No, I don't think so. They were more interested in the more active activities.
Oh.
Like the weaving itself.
They weren't necessarily interested in how to use old vegetable dyes and things like that, though I'm sure now, looking back, they didn't realize how important.
But there were some people.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
But she was doing a good demonstration, I'd say.
Yeah. And how old were you then?
Teenager.
Teenager? What made her take you there? Why did she pick you?
Because she was a very nice person, and I think she thought I'd be helpful.
And you were neighbors?
Well,
She lived not too
neighbors,
far
but she
from
was
you.
a good friend of my mother's.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, well, that's interesting. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you this question.
What?
I ask everybody, well, it's 2 questions. How do you see, based on your years of being here, how do you think Saluda has changed?
It has a heck of a lot more people. And the mountains are full of houses instead of just trees. I'm surprised at how far out the houses go. That's the main difference.
The main difference.
Because they've kept Main Street, it looks more or less the same, although the businesses do change. It still looks the same. The railroad has not been taken up, and I like that.
Though it's about to be taken up.
Is it? Uh-oh, that's too bad.
Oh yeah, have you heard about the Saluda Grade Trail?
A little bit.
They're gonna pull the rail. They're gonna rail bank the railroads, and I'm not real sure if that means they're going to leave their. I think they're gonna pull the railroad tracks up and leave the space where the tracks were.
Okay.
But they may be burying the tracks. I'm not sure. I'm not a railroad expert, so I'm not sure. But nonetheless, it's gonna be turned into like walking trails, walking path.
Well, that's another change. They moved the depot up from the low spot down there to the town, and that's a nice museum.
Mm-hmm. Depot it does have a very nice museum. It do. I'm so glad that they're collecting all that rail history, because I can tell you one thing, that is not my expertise. It's not that I don't value it and think it's as important as any of the other, but I just don't understand all the railroad lingo and techniques and various trains that ran up the grade. There's some real experts on trains that are involved at the depot, so I'm going to leave that completely up to them. Another important question that we always ask you, what advice would you give to newcomers to Saluda?
Shall I say what I said before?
I want you to say exactly what you said before.
I said stay away.
Stay away? Stay away?
Yeah.
Okay, why do you say that?
Because it's already crowded as far as atmosphere and everything else is changing. It's changing into more of a metropolis than it used to be. It was a nice little quiet village before. And now it has a lot of interesting activities, which is nice. Good library and all that, but it's more people.
Just more people. Yeah, and probably not as, I don't know, do you think that people know each other as well now?
No, definitely not. But then I think it's always been that the visitors, the summer visitors like me, have sort of clustered in groups from where they came. Don't you think so?
I think they always have.
Yeah.
Because I'm considered part of the local, more native mountain folk that came up the mountain. So my family really didn't. My grandparents may have, and I just wasn't aware of it. But I don't remember knowing much about the Smiths or knowing a lot about the summer people like the Ogdens. Don't remember much. The families that came up.
Well, my sister Faith worked one summer at Smith's Hospital when she was in high school. And there's one thing I'd like to tell you about the house across the street from us. I'm sort of between Jesperson's and that other house. The other house. My mother, it's called my mother because she was friendly with everybody, mountain people, New Orleans, whatever. Went to cocktail parties and went down the mountain to visit Mrs. Johnson's cow. But the thing is, the house across the street was owned by a couple of men, and I'm not sure, but I think their name was Gilreath, because one of them married a woman from New York, and she was always Mrs. Gilreath. But they had no children, I think they were well into adulthood when they married. And she would come over and visit with Mother. And she wore, I'm pretty sure they were her husband's shorts, pants, because she liked all the pockets that were in them.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, she was an interesting person because she was my first example of a person from New York.
Nice.
And I'm kind of glad they aren't all like that.
That they aren't all like that?
That they weren't all like that. She was interesting.
That's one of the things that I think is unique about Saluda, because to be such a small mountain town, it has a lot of variation in, I hate to use the word class, but it's kind of what would be a better word for that? But it's like a lot of varying backgrounds that have blended.
There you go.
Where I think the mountain, because I'm one of those. I'm if anybody in this room right now, I'm one. I would be considered the hillbilly, because that descended from the natives, and I don't guess really anybody in my family was ever really classified a hillbilly, but I don't know. They probably are. But we ran. My family ran the boarding house, Pace House, and so forth. But I've always. My family always seemed to know a lot about culture. And I really do think a lot of it came from the folks that came up the mountain and visited and shared their culture with them in the boarding house and just in the community, shared their knowledge of what life was in Charleston or Columbia or maybe New York, or because so many people did come here for vacation. And
the health.
And their health, that's big. They came here for the health, and that includes not just children, but also adults.
Right.
And there really is something to that ozone. I know I feel better when I'm up here. So I think that's the reason we have such a blended culture and knowledge of other cultures here in this small mountain town than maybe some of the other mountain towns. The railroad played a big part in that. So, do y'all feel that way? Do you see it that way? I just often wondered, how did my grandmother become such a pianist, and where did she learn these skills, and and she was always they were always very classy. The Stevensons were always very classy, and I'm like, well, they're just mountain folk. Where'd they get that from? So I think, some of it came from being immigrants into the country way back, from England and. Scotland and
you have as proud a background as any coastal person I've met. Goodness.
Yeah. There's also that stereotype that if you were here, if you've been in these mountains a long time, you're not capable of big things, that you're not intelligent, or there's just the old mountaineer kind of stereotype that is so wrong. So wrong. A lot of people from this area have gone on to great things. So, but it's interesting. The culture in Saluda has always sort of fascinated me. Always fascinated me. And I've learned so much just doing these interviews. The perspective.
Well, I've got a story about my family. My sister had 4 children. 3 of them were boys and 1 was a girl. I had 2 boys. My other sister had 1 boy, 1 girl, all these boys. Well, behind the house, there was some gay lights or something. The mountain boys were walking along there, just slowly walking along. And I was out on the back porch, and they started yelling at them, "Don't get the galaxy," whatever it was. And the mountain boys started throwing rocks. Well, our whole horde of boys went out. Started throwing rocks back at him. With Sarah, the 1 girl, went with them. And after a while, she came racing back in the house. "They threw rocks at me! They threw rocks at me!" And Mother said, "Well, you threw rocks at them." And Sarah said, "But I'm a girl!"
She asked for it, she went along with it, right?
Right.
Was that here in Saluda? Okay. You said Mountain Boys, so yeah. Okay. Well, apparently there were some interesting times with the mountain boys and
Yeah.
all the stuff. There was a lot of.
I love it about her.
Yeah.
Okay, so this has been a very interesting interview.
I've enjoyed doing this. I love to talk about Saluda and my family. So.
Well, you were wonderful, and we really do appreciate you taking your time. I know you're going back home tomorrow to Charleston, and Dot's gonna come back next summer,
All right.
and we'll talk. Maybe we'll talk again. She may over the winter. She may jot down some stories she forgot to tell us, and will let me know, and we can have another interview. And we do want to thank Clara. I'm gonna swing. Can I swing the camera around? I'm gonna gently swing this camera around. Clara said I couldn't get her in on the thing because she's had some little procedure on her nose, but so we do appreciate it, and we hope everyone enjoys this interview. We will talk with you again soon. Thank you.